This program is supported in part by a grant from the Coronavirus Response Fund.
Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Sims. I'm a child psychologist and I direct the Children's Center, the Sarah T. Butler Children's Center for the Pastoral Institute. And I'm going to talk to you today about mental health issues in children and how you can identify those in your child and when and how to seek help. Okay, so for this segment, we're going to talk about eating disorders. And there are a variety of eating problems. We see more eating problems with kids today, I think, of a little different nature than we did years ago. Probably 10, 20 years ago, we saw more anorexia, which people seem to be pretty familiar with, which is basically not eating, controlling weight. Typically, people that have anorexia are very, very thin. It's interesting, I went through a training recently with for psychologists on eating disorders, and they were basically saying, we don't see much anorexia anymore. What we see now is bulimia, where people eat and then throw up, binge eating, and restrictive eating, and overeating. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these. Let's start with restrictive eating. Restrictive eating is a child who's extremely picky. Parents who have children with autism often will talk about restrictive eating. Their child might eat 1 or 2 foods, or maybe 4 or 5 foods, or they won't eat foods with certain textures. There are treatments for restrictive eating, and that would be where you'd want to first get an assessment, see what else is going on with that restrictive eating, and then there are some treatment programs that help with that type of problem. Binge eating is the child who's basically eating a lot at a time, and then other times not. And sometimes children will hoard or hide their food. And again, when you see that, you want to look at the history, because I've seen a lot of children who've come up in orphanages in Russia and China, and when they come to this country, they will do some binge eating and hoarding food. They'll hide their food, they'll sneak food, because food was very critical and they didn't always know if they would get it. Bulimia is basically kind of binge eating with vomiting. And anytime you see any of these kinds of problems, you want to go to your physician first to make sure there's not some kind of physical problem that's causing the eating problem. And you want to then follow the directions the physician has in terms of referral for treatment programs. The last area is overeating, and we're seeing a lot of that with kids. We're not making good choices on our eating. We see a lot of kids eating a lot of high sugar foods, and of course that's not really very good for you in terms of weight and in terms of concentration. I tell parents, if your child has ADHD especially, but for all kids, you don't want to eat a lot of simple carbohydrates and sugars before you go to school, because what that does is it increases your blood sugar, and so you feel this energy. It'd be great if you were just running a sprint, but then after a short period of time, everything kind of collapses down and you get into kind of a sluggish kind of mood, and that is not good for going all day to school. So we encourage parents to have children eat healthy fats and proteins in the morning before they go to school, because this will help them to sustain through the day. We are, as a society, tending to eat a lot of stuff that we probably shouldn't eat, and a lot of processed food and a lot of sugar and simple carbohydrates, which sugar is one of, tends to put on the weight. And so you find yourself eating more and more of those kinds of foods than you probably should. So this is something, again, talking to your physician. They can give you a plan for your child to help with their eating and or weight problems. And then we provide counseling for that as well here at the Pastoral Institute. All you have to do is go on our website. We have online referral process for your paperwork and scheduling. So just check out Pastoral Institute on the internet. Thank you.